And you know what? Hunts Point is a very busy part of the Bronx. A lot of activity over here, and a lot of people might take advantage of a train station if there was one here. Oh, in fact, there is a train station here. This was it in the previous century, and yes, there's a movement to bring it and those other stations back, but yes, critics saying one big entity is getting in the way. This is what this now abandoned rail depot in Hunts Point had looked like early in the last century. But the fact that it looks like this now tells you a lot about what's happened to rail travel in the East Bronx and why there's a push for change now. For some 4 decades, trains to Connecticut have not stopped at all in the East Bronx. But that's set to change if one thing happens.
We in the Bronx are telling Amtrak to get on board and get out the way of the negotiations.
Bronx Borough President Ruben Diaz led a petition drive today to get residents to send a message to the owners of the tracks, Amtrak, to back a proposal to build these 4 Metro-North train stations in the East Bronx. Residents along the line sound a lot like the borough president.
Amtrak, should do a good job or show some kindness in helping us, because we do need that. It'll make this transportation much faster.
It would make it easier for transportation-wise, because sometimes you have to wait like we're doing now for this bus. Then you have to wait for the MTA train. Sometimes that's late.
The buses they're waiting for are literally right next to the tracks. The plan has been considered since the 80s. And it had a 3-year planning and approval process, and now New York State has approved nearly $700 million in funding. But it's a 5-year approval that's running out. Amtrak wants the MTA to pay more for some infrastructure improvements, but that's getting some pushback.
Don't be a Scrooge, be the Santa Claus, sign the agreement, and let's move forward. Now, for its part, Amtrak did issue this statement to us saying that Amtrak and MTA executives have met frequently in recent months to try to reach agreement on a number of key issues in order to ensure that the proposed expansion of Metro-North service does not adversely impact Amtrak and its various projects, including its expansion of Penn Station into the new Moynihan Station on Manhattan's west side. And that is where any trains along this proposed East Bronx line would end up. Reporting from the Bronx in Hunts Point, I'm James Ford, Pix 11 News.